Sign guy here. I caught up with one of the top wrestlers in the Texas indie scene. You were voted #1 once before on the top 100, correct?
Once before, you know, and all the other times I maybe got a little bit robbed, and I was #2, #3 for a lot of years because a lot of people really didn't take me seriously, that I was a top guy. But as the years have gone by, I've earned the respects of promoters and the fellas alike, the workers, and the fans too. So, you know, now it feels good to not prove myself. So, but in a ways, I still got to maintain. But yeah, at one time, I was one of the top here in Texas, if not the world, at one point. Maybe, I think it was from a span of like late 07, 08, 09.
Well, I didn't introduce the man, JT Lamotta. Sir, when I first saw you, you were doing a hard bodies gimmick with Andy Dalton.
Right.
And y'all wore dresses to the ring.
Right.
And
No, it wasn't dresses. That was a dress match that me and him had. But
right, okay.
We wore cut-off shirts. I was a little bit even more chubbier at the time, and Dalton, of course, is always chubby. It never changes with him. But we were wearing cut-off shirts that were hard bodies, short biker shorts, and I was wearing, you know, the same stuff that I would wear now. But the thing about it was basically the ambiguously gay duo from Saturday Night Live, and the point going across it, we were fitness gurus. We were athletic, but we had a bond, and you know, and we obviously didn't have the body for it. So that was the funny part of it. When we first started doing it, we met the Texas Treats in Atlanta when we were working for Bill Barron's, and they invited us down to come do RCW. We went down and did it. They pitched this idea, and Andy Dalton was up for anything. He's always up for anything, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. That is homosexual. No, I will not be doing this. And they kind of talked me into it. I did it, and it got over. Like $1 million it got over, and I was really surprised. But I was always ready to move on. But now I'm wanting to come back to the character stuff because it's just so much more easier. And you know, actually we'll be getting back together March 30th here in San Antonio.
Really?
Another show, yeah.
Well, nice.
Hard Bodies Reunion.
Well, didn't you already have one Hard Bodies Reunion at a VCCW show?
Oh, we did. It was in your interview, but
yeah.
you know, I'm looking for a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I look forward to doing it.
Well, what was before that? How did you get started?
November of 2001. Before that, I always used to see NWA Southwest on a local channel over there in Dallas Fort Worth, and they were running out of Norfolk on Hills, and in the same place they used to draw back in the day. They always had names in like Dan Severn, Steve Carino. They had Hot Stuff Hernandez, and they had a lot of guys. And I was like, all right, this is the place to go. So I signed up November 8th, and I went in there, and that was of 01, and then started my training. Started my training with a guy named Mike Thunder. He was a former NWA Junior World Champion. And he left, got some more training, eventually went to PCW in Arlington, had my first match about a year later. I think I was one of the last people to ever train for a full year. And then had my first match in Red Oak, Texas. And then just kind of went from there.
Well, let's jump up to the present where a lot of people, your name got landed on the Texas indie map, mostly right. ACW. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved with ACW and Darren and all them?
Well, actually, I was always wanting to work for ACW for a long time. I was working for the rival RCW for a long time as the Hard Bodies. I just got out of the Hard Bodies gimmick. And Darren wanted to use me, so he used me in a real small show that he was running in Austin. And ACW was getting off the ground at that point. Well, he calls me one night in June, and he said that he just got done working a show in Philadelphia with Matt Seidel, and who is Evan Bourne now. And he's like, you know, when I heard of him, he wanted to come down and work for me, and the only person I thought of putting him with was you, which was a good compliment to me and my, you know, what I had at the time. So he came down, and I wrestled him, and we had a fantastic match, and then the ball just really kind of got rolling from there. You know, I was always off everywhere else, but it was in Texas, it was one of the few places that was nationally recognized. So, and that's what's really, that's what I really needed.
Now, where did JT, what does it mean? Where did you get it from?
JT really doesn't really stand for anything. My dad's name was John. I guess you could say John, and then T doesn't really stand for anything. But the way that I got JT was from one of my first matches at PCW back in, it was about early 02. I had longer hair. and I was a pretty boy. I was wearing, a silk Under Armour shirt. I had pads. I had the necklace. I had the wind pants on. I basically looked like a boy band member. So the promoter said, what's your name you go by? I was wrestling for a Christian organization before that, and the name was Gilchrist Lamotta. I always like Lamotta from Raging Bull. And he's like, no, we can't use Gilchrist. I go, I totally agree. He goes, well, you look like a boy band member. I had one of them like JC, JT. I was like, JT, how about we just do JT Lamotta? I was just excited to have a match before one of their shows are always taped for local television. So I was amped to just even do that and be on it. And so I was JT Lamotta. I was like, it won't stick. It ended up sticking for about a good 10 years, and I could never get away from it. Even now, I kind of do want to get away from it, but it's so, it identifies with me now. I can't run from it.
For sure. Well, a lot of the guys that you've worked with now, they've always had Ring of Honor tryouts, Chikara tryouts, TNA tryouts. What tryouts has JT Lamotta had?
Dragon Gate. They advertise about 3 spots for a tryout that we had, and they gave 2 of them away to guys who were already had an in, and the other guy that got it basically did what did he do? I think he did it was some kind of crazy move that he did. I think it was a 630 or something like that, and the Japanese guys were really impressed with him. Other than that, they called my name up next. They said, look, you would have had a spot, but we gave it to these other guys, and I was like, oh my God. Ring of Honor, I worked for them down in Houston, the WrestleMania weekend. I did that with them, and I've also had other invitations to go up there, but I just didn't have the presence to want to move and go over there, as I've had family down here, and I have a son, and they're not really relocatable. So that's been one thing. And as far as TNA, I never really tried out for them, and I never really did anything. For WWE, I worked backstage for them. I did some in-ring stuff for them, and they really liked it. I remember one thing I did. I think that was the time when Barry Windham was there, Dean Malenko, and they all saw my stuff, and they were like, we really like you, but you need to lose a little bit of weight, or you need to do this or do that, or you're a little short. So, it was fun for what it was. I'm very realistic in what I can do and within my means.
Now, would you like to speak about your son a little bit? Because I've met your son at a few shows and stuff, and he looks just like you.
He's a little JT Lamotta, but he's going to obviously be taller than me. He's already up to my chin. He's a cocky little thing, and he's awesome, man. But he's going to... I shudder to think what his mom's going to go through when he turns 15 and he's breaking ladies' hearts, and he's tall. He's a taller, basically bigger version of me. So just imagine how much power, and you're going to have to kind of nail him down, or else that ego's going to get out of control pretty quick.
I've seen him in the ring and stuff, doing a little bit of stuff what Daddy does.
Yeah.
He's got Daddy's chemistry.
Yeah, he got some flair to him, that's for sure. But he's athletic, he knows it, and that's just my job to just nail him down. And eventually, when the time comes, if he wants to do this, and we'll see what happens.
Well, now, a lot of people don't know, or they should know, that you had a little bit of a scare. Like, what was it, 6 months ago, 8 months ago?
Yeah, I had a real bad concussion. Got my ear ripped off in one match, and I just wasn't the same, nor have I ever been the same since that. And it really made me feel vulnerable for the first time ever. I mean, I was one of the most hard-hittingest guys in Texas, and all of a sudden it really brought me back to reality of what's really important. And if I really did want to take this to the next level, it's worth taking that risk, or if not. So it made me evaluate, which kind of led me down this path of, contemplating retirement, but giving it that time to just make sure, you just can't get away from something like this. Just like that. It's like a drug. Right. And you have to wean yourself off slowly. And, I've never been the same. Every time I do get better, I do something stupid in the ring, and I ring my bell once again. And your body is very, very vulnerable. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and all the abuse is just now catching up to me.
How many concussions have you had that you think you had?
Probably about 8.
8?
Probably about, at least. Verifiable. And every time I've done it, I would be gassed. I would be gassed for air, and I would get knocked out. I wouldn't even think about it anymore. And I would keep going. That's the thing. I've never been knocked out cold, but I've been knocked out to where it was like I was in a dream, and my body was just going along with emotion.
So you've had actually matches you don't even remember then?
Some, yeah. But I could say about, not a lot of them though. I mean, I'm not saying I've had like a lot of matches where I've been concussed, but probably about 5, I think, where I don't remember at all. And I've had a lot of matches, but I at least remember something from each one. So, I mean, the body is very vulnerable, so you just got to be careful. And now, I mean, I feel vulnerable, and it's the first time I've done that, and along with some other health things that I've had with, you know, with my heart and stuff like that, it's very dangerous. So just now, I mean, everything brings you back to reality. Wrestling is for the crowd and stuff like that, but they don't realize, you know, I'm putting a lot on the line for just to going out now, and for all the abuse I've done. You know, 10 years of abuse to a body that wasn't meant to wrestle. You know, I'm fighting very dangerously with the odds every time I get in there. It's scary.
That's what scares me about a lot of the kids now that do the backyard stuff.
Right.
They think it's all play, and they don't understand that y'all actually do go through a lot of stuff.
No, yeah, they don't. But they don't until they get hurt, and then they get hurt, and the problem is that teenagers are, you know, they bounce back really quick. But, you know, somebody once told me that you have a limited number of times that you could take abuse in the ring, and it's called it's a card that's punched every single time. And right now, I think that I don't think I'm at the end of it, but I'm pretty close to it. You know, the human body can only take so much, and I never believed that it could until I got to this point, and I realize it now. So I would more than be happy to be an advocate for, you know, keeping your body maintained while you do this. Well, you only got one.
I don't want to end this interview on bad terms, so let's talk about some of the good stuff that's happened. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. What has been JT's favorite angle he's worked so far while he's been doing this? I know you had a lot of angles. My favorite one was the girl angle you were doing.
That was one of my most favorite ones. Was the ladies angle. I basically had a plan to just, you know, while putting over the girls, you know, put myself over at the same time and showcase their work and showcase that they are equals here in ACW, and I think that it worked. Anytime that I have an idea, I think it works. My feuds with Andy Dalton all over the state, they have been great. Victory Crown, the Quest for the Crown tournament, that was probably our best match ever. And I've had some other good angles up at PCW, and here, Jimmy Jacobs, that was my other favorite angle. We didn't get along at first in real life. We hated each other. I almost fist fought him the first time I ever saw him. And after that, we just kind of got along because we were so different. We were so curious about each other. And it just worked, and he taught me so much about psychology. So, you know, and then that's about that time I went to Japan, and I was so lucky to even go there, along with, I've been to Mexico, I've been all over the country, so, and he taught me so much more that I never learned, and it's invaluable teaching tools that he gave me.
What were those experiences like? I know a lot of people didn't know that. I heard about it because Darren mentioned his interview I did with him a year ago, how you went to Japan and you traveled around. What were those experiences like for you? So
they were life altering. You know, it's a big thing that I showcase because sometimes, you know, I might not ever go back there again. Although I've had the offers to live there, to stay there, and I've declined them. It's very big when you realize when you got family, it really messes you up here in the wrestling business. And I could have been over there, and it taught me so much about wrestling. And I think it's invaluable that I have the experience that nobody else will probably ever have. You know, working with guys. I've worked with tons of top names, you know, and in Japan and all over the place. And it's invaluable what you can learn from working with other people who know more than you.